Hello everyone, I'm Masood Bakhtiari, a structural engineer. If you're interested in learning Revit for structural concrete building, please subscribe to my channel. Before you watch this video, please support me so that I can provide more high-quality tutorials in the future. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Masood from Masood Structural Studio. In this section, we will learn about grid layout in WPF. According to the previous part, where we draw grid on an image of the plugin, now we want to implement this grid layout in WPF. The general area of the plugin is shown with red lines. Now we divide this general area into two levels or two rows. The first row contains the main title, the main buttons, and the close button. And the second line or second row shows the main view of the plugin. Now we divided general zone or plugin zone into two rows using the row definition property. Now we're coding in WPF XAML. The grid element here is parent container and it's divided into two rows using the row definition property. The first row has a fixed height of 50 pixels, and the second row takes the remaining spaces because no height is specified. We open tag grid point row definitions and close it. And in the opening and closing of this tag, we set the row specifications, including the number of rows and their height, as well as the number of rows per row definition. In this part, we have two rows, so therefore we must have two row definitions. We have two row definitions. As we said before, the height of the first row is 50 pixels, and we don't specify the value of the second row, so that remaining space except for the 50 pixels of the first row is allocated to the second row. Now we layered zone 0 using a grid. Now we move on to layering the second row of grid 0. Now we move on to layering the first row of grid 0. As we can see in this video, in the first row of the 0 zone, as you can see, we have three columns in the first row. The first column contains the main title, the second column contains the minimize button, and the third column contains the close button. Of course, the buttons are located next to each other on the right side with their certain dimensions, and the rest of the space is dedicated to the main title. We open grid space grid point row equals 0. In this space, we open another tag, then we open grid space column definitions, and create columns. We create 3 column definition for 3 columns. In the first, we specify width property. In the second column definition, or in the second column, we choose width equal by 40. Similarly, for the third column, as you can see, when the mouse over any of the column definition, it's shown with a blue border on the right side of the window view. Look, exactly when I go over each of them, it's marked to the right side of that section. Well, after this part, we go to the second row, where we have to create several columns. As we will see in the video, this section contains 6 columns. Note that any code you write will be displayed on the right side immediately. As you can see in the codes, there are codes in green. These codes are not read in the software and are written only to mark and explain that part of the code. So we write this specification at the beginning of each code. To create the columns in the second rows, we use part of the code, the first row, and copy and paste it and make the necessary change on it. This change includes the row number and the number of column and or row definition, column definition, and the width and the width dimension. In this way, we put the row on number 1, and we make the number of row definition, the number of column definition equal to 6. That is, we write 6 number of column definition. We set the value of the first column to 150 pixels and leave the width of the other columns unspecified, so that the remaining space is divided among the other columns except for the space of the first column. Now we go to the green color codes to determine the specification of each rows and columns, and write them down and have them in each section. This will help us a lot when the code becomes more and more complex. This work is actually a kind of organization of layers. If you like this video, support us by liking and subscribing. Thanks.